Check out this adorable stamp set, Love You Lots. This is my free class to go as a thank you to all of my customers who helped me earn the grand vacation this week. I'll be off to the Mediterranean in less than 36 hours, and I have a really cool class to share with you. So first, this is a Wink of Stella brush, and it comes with this black ring, and I'm just going to take the black ring out, screw it back together, and pull. You don't want to unscrew and rescrew. And then you're going to prime the brush. So you want to get a scrap piece of paper, and on either side of the brush there are two signs that say push, so you push and you're going to see the paint come down into the barrel. And I recommend you being patient and not over prime the brush because it will drip and ooze. Now once you get the brush going, you shouldn't need to prime it again unless you're making like a crazy number of cards like I just did for all of my new catalog swap. I made actually some of these cards as my swaps from my friends going on the Mediterranean cruise. Patience, patience, Celine. Oh, see, you're starting to see the wink. Once you get the brush primed, you shouldn't need to squeeze again. But in case I get a big goop, I want to make sure that I do it on a piece of paper that I am not using. Okay, so there. See all that? Ooh. So now our Wink of Stella glitter brush is good to go. When you use this on a water-based ink, it actually moves the ink. So it makes this really cool effect. It almost makes your image look like it's popping off the page. So let's get started. There will be a full 9-page document with this card class. So if you don't see everything right away, never fear. This is just a 3x3 designer series paper square, so I'm gonna stick some of the pieces together before I even get started with the watercolor. And all the measurements for these are in the document, as well as the item number for the large polka dot embossing folder. I love the idea of dots and dots together. It's all about coordination. I'm going to start by stamping my hedgehogs using Early Espresso ink. And I'm going to ink up and turn it over and really look and make sure that I have coverage everywhere, because I used this quite a bit to make swap cards. So I want to make sure that there's still ink on my pad. Oh, isn't he cute? And I could ink up the sentiment with an ink pad, but I got the marker right here, so I'm just going to use the marker. I do that a lot. When you ink up with a marker, it's good to huff on the back of the stamp to re-moisten the ink in case it dries while you talk. So here's the magic. Ready for this? I can't even tell you how exciting this is. I just have to show you. These guys just come to life when you hit them with Wink of Stella. I'm calling this my Wink of Watercolor technique. And literally just move the brush over the ink and it moves the water-based ink that's there, and you're ready to move on to the next color. Now, I would like to have a little bit of pink. I'm going to use my marker and just draw right on one of my blocks. And I'll need to wipe off the Wink of Stella after. But here I'm picking up the pink with my Wink of Stella. And I'm hit their little cheeks. Oh my gosh. Is that not the coolest thing ever? And the only thing you want to be careful with this now is, we said that all of this moved because it's water-based. We don't want to take the pink and go through the brown again. You want to make sure that you get rid of the pink off the brush before you move on to the next color. So that's what I'm using this paper for. And then I'm just going to add a touch of the green right there. And that's it. Isn't that fabulous? So I just need to put a little adhesive on this. And my favorite adhesive is Fast Fuse. If you haven't used Fast Fuse before, it requires a light touch. Nice and loose, because it's really, really sticky stuff. Ooh, look, and here's a good example. If the adhesive isn't at the top, you need to fast forward it to get it to the top. But when you release, you release lightly and to the left or right at a 90-degree angle just to break the plane. It will attach to your paper, and it's so sticky you really don't need a lot. Okay, and then we'll put the top layer on, and then this goes on to our base. These are so cute in real life, and they just literally pop off the page. Okay, so card number 2. Again, when I do a class to go, I usually have an option for packets. This one won't because it's all online, because I'm somewhere in the Mediterranean by the time you're watching this video. Oh my gosh, I love this new green. Here it is, the Emerald Envy ink pad. Oh my gosh, it is my favorite new in color. This time I'm going to take my watercolor paper square and I'm going to stamp the thank you friend first. There's not a lot of room on this card for a sentiment, and I want to make sure, of course, that I'm stamping it the right side up. Boy, that would be a funny joke on me. And then I'm going to do the same. I'm going to ink up my frog. He's so cute, I can't even stand it. And stamp it on my cardstock. Now I'm going to grab my brush again, and this time, see all of the shadows and all of the lines that are there from the artist? I'm going to just brush over them with my my Wink of Stella brush, my Wink of Watercolor. Woohoo! And move some of the green ink to make those lines pop out. Now if I want, I can go back to my little palette that I made with my marker. You don't want to squeeze the ink pad and go into the ink pad with this, because it will, the Wink of Stella will end up in your ink pad, so that wouldn't be cool. But you can use it with markers. It's a great technique. And just add a little bit of, see, this looks like me when I don't have any sleep before cruise. I totally dig this layout, and it's so easy to put together. If you notice, I cut the black square out of the framelets. It's a 2 1/4 inch square, and that's out of the new layerable framelets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my adhesive here and here. And then this just goes on the card base, and then we're going to add some pearls just to the top right hand corner. Notice that I don't touch the pearls with my fingers. There's a glue dot under these, and you never want to touch glue dots with your fingers because it makes them less sticky. If you find that later on your stuff has fallen off your project, it might be because the oil from your fingers got onto the adhesive and made it less sticky. Unless, of course, it's fast fused. There's nothing that's going to make this less sticky. It is the stickiest stuff around. Okay, that's the second project. On to the third project. I'm just making sure that there's no green ink left on my brush. And now I'm going to stamp my heffalump. Oh my goodness, isn't he cute? I want to see if he's going to fit on my paper. No, he's not. I got to move that in a little closer. I loaded both of these stamps on one block to make it easy for myself. And I'm going to ink them up and stamp them all at once. I know I keep calling him heffalump. You can tell that I'm a big Winnie the Pooh fan, yes? Here we go. Oh my goodness. So we already checked to make sure that the green's all gone, and now I'm going to just again use the color that's on my watercolor paper, and I'm going over the areas that have lines made by the artist first, and then I'm just going to fill in with what's left. So there's still some color there, but I'm using what the artist did as a guide to move that color and have dark and light in the right places. So I colored the whole thing, but this is much less defined. And I do like a thought bubble looking kind of dreamy, so I'm going to outline this. And of course, we should have a sparkly mouse. Now, I used this punch to to make a whole bunch of confetti, and let me just show you quickly how I did that. These punches, they come with a silver line, so you start on the silver line for your first punch. And then you line up the silver markings on the actual punch itself to punch again. So you're seeing that okay. So I'm all lined up, and my back wall of the paper is against the fence of the punch. And then I could do this on a 12 by 12 sheet and have a border at the same time as making my cards. But look at how many hearts that makes just in the one swipe. So I'm going to bring this guy back in and grab my liquid glue. So I want a heart right here that says love you. Okay, so I want to drop a tiny dot of glue onto my paper. I hope you're seeing that. And then I'm just going to pick up one heart out of the punch, and it's sort of stuck to my finger because I have a little bit of glue on my finger. The joys of crafting. But it's much easier than trying to put glue on that and sticking it down. And the rest of this is super simple, just like the rest of the cards. You layer this on top of this and stick the designer paper at the bottom of the white, and then we are on to the last card. So if you notice, I popped out some punches. If you take classes to go with me and there happens to be ribbon or bows or things that need to be punched out, I try and do as much of it as possible and include it in the packs to go. This one didn't have any ribbon, which is unusual for me. I love ribbon. These were all punched with the triple banner punch. And this one in particular, I want to show you how I did it. So this is a giant punch, and if you wanted to punch anything smaller than a 1-inch punch, you want to go in from the back and see that you're there, and then get it sort of in the middle and punch it out. For these, this one is 1 inch, so I went all the way in and just punched, and this one is 1.5 inches, and there's a section for 1 inch, 1.5 inches, and 2 inch, and it just sits in between the lines on the punch. I hope you're seeing that good. Okay, so here's my card all starting to come together. Now you may wonder how I got the pearls black. I just took a Sharpie marker and went over them right on the transfer sheet before I picked up my pearls. This is the finished piece, how I got it there. And so I want to show you a couple of little tricks with this. If you notice, there's a bit of a shadow underneath these guys. And if you don't have markers and all you have is an ink pad, I do have a marker, but I wanted to show you this. You can just hit something plastic with your ink pad, and you can also use that to watercolor with. So first I'm going to stamp them, and I'm going to show you how to do this little drop shadow. The trick is not to add too much color. I had someone here helping me with this class, prepping it and prepping some of my swaps, and she tried making it, and one of the things that she ran into was she was making her gray area way too dark to be a shadow. So aren't all shadows sparkly? Oh my gosh, I love this. So I'm just picking this up and drawing a line right at the body. Now I'm being very careful because I don't want to accidentally pick up the pink. And I'm going to go back into my, and then I'm just going to pull this down a little bit. You don't want a defined line. You don't want it to be a big gray shadow. And that's good. I'm going to stop right there. Although, oops, I dropped my cover. I'm going to add Wink Estella to the tops of these ladybug spots and see how it makes them pop out on the watercolor paper. Isn't that awesome? So now I have sparkly ladybugs. My husband jumped in and started helping me put these together because I had so many swaps due. I completed 6 sets of swaps going away before I leave. And he is very good at getting this soft sponged look. I might be a bit more of a brute, I don't know. Yeah, I definitely have a darker line. I love the softness that he was able to get, but I think he goes nice and easy with it. Oh my goodness. Next, I thought it was really cool to get some of those butterfly spots black, but not all of them. I'm gonna move this out of the way so I don't have an accident. So I'm just going to stick this onto my card. You'd think this would still be wet, but it dries very quickly. It's an instant wink of glitter, but it's also a great watercolor brush. Finally, here are the pearls that I already put the Sharpie marker on, and I just love these. I think they look like butterfly bodies themselves. So this is the large size pearl, and I just colored it with a black Sharpie. Well, that's all for this month's free class. I hope you loved it. I offer these every single month. Check out the directions. You can print them double-sided. If you're a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, you'll also notice that I don't put my name on the back of the directions, and that's so that you can use these in your classes. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for making it possible for me to go on such amazing trips with Stampin' Up! I am truly blessed. Have a great week.